Well, good morning from the ridge.
Good morning.
Yeah, it is a beautiful day today. But if you guys, I don't know if the camera will pick it up.
Doesn't it look foggy or smoky behind us?
Yeah.
It's neither.
No.
It's pollen.
Yeah. And I'm like, is that why my nose is continually running and my voice is really raspy? And yeah, just feeling all sorts of something up here. And I called Jason out and I was like, babe, I think it's a fire or it's foggy or something out here. No. We sat here and watched as the cedar trees as the cedar trees were like pluming themselves off. Is that better? Can you tell? Is it
that's
better?
gooder.
Is it gooder? Yeah.
Yeah. They said we were too far away and we had to speak up. They couldn't hear us, so.
Oh, is that what they said?
Yeah, I heard them. They were already telling me.
Appreciate you. Oh.
Yeah, I was seeing it. I mean, it's that time of year. Like we're not officially spring, but we're getting into spring, and you know, cedar trees, they're pollinating pretty hard already. And
yeah,
I noticed it when I was cutting some trees down that they'd hit the ground and there's this big puff of smoke. And I had seen it first thing this morning. I was looking out on the other side of the ridge, on the other ridge, and it would all just seem like this poof of smoke, and it's just the pollen.
I thought stuff was on fire. I'm like, crap.
I mean, they had some controlled burns not too far from here the other day, but I don't think it was in a spot that really would have been over here. But yeah, it's not smoke, it's not fog, it's pollen just floating around. So
yeah. So baby,
it makes me blessed I'm not that have allergy kind of person. But I know a lot of people do, which
I didn't used
this
to have
time of year is
allergies,
horrible for them. But
yeah. So what do we got on the slate today, my love?
yes.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna use what we have done up on lumber already and go ahead and get going on the studio.
Yeah, because my thoughts were, and I brought it up to Jason yesterday, that you know, we're only needing the 2x6s for the actual floor system, whereas once we start building walls, those are just going to be 2x4. So I don't want to like overcut 2x6s, although who doesn't need a 2x6?
There's no such thing.
Exactly. But for time purposes and stuff, we want to make sure that we're not like going way overboard and spending a whole day on the mill if we don't have to. And this will give us a good idea of how many more we are going to need. So that's kind of what we thought we would do today. And kind of in keeping with the way we do things is we like to jump around. No?
All I know is jump, and yeah. I know the song, but I couldn't sing it.
Yeah, so...
They're grateful for that I'm not singing it.
Yeah, probably for me today too, since I'm all ugh. But,
yeah, that's the plan, guys, is to get what we can done on the subfloor. That's the word I was going for.
The floor foundation.
Yeah, because we don't even have the whole rim joist done yet. And we've got a couple extra ideas of helping kind of sturdy that up. It's one of those that, yeah, there's a modern technology nowadays that
but we don't want to go by it.
They have joist hangers, but we're not doing that.
No.
So we'll run an inner rim joist along with the outer that they nail to, and then the inner one will kind of help support it. And our forefathers didn't have those metal brackets, and their houses didn't fall down. So
well, but they were using like mortise and tenon joinery and
not on the floor joist.
Cool stuff. Paul does. He cuts notches and lays those logs right on it.
With the logs, yes, but not for the subfloor.
No. So we're mixing old with new.
Yeah.
But yeah, our goal is to not have to spend a lot of money on the YouTube studio. One, because it's a challenge and we just love our challenges of not spending money. And two, just because we want to build it from the ridge. And I know Lee over at Watchtower Pharmacy she had wanted me to go back, and because there was one project, the camper project, where I'd gone through and we were keeping a tally of how much we were spending on fixing up the camper. And so I had like little cash register noises and stuff. And she's like, I just love that, and had a final price. And so I think, and I told her I'd try to do that with a tiny house. But y'all, it's hard. When you're moving forward, it's hard to look back. Or to go back and redo something. So it's going to be much easier for us to do that with the YouTube studio.
When the price tag's $0.
Well, yeah, well, not only that, but there's going to be things we have to buy. Right now, I'm waiting on a message back. I found some stuff on the marketplace that would definitely come in handy for the YouTube studio. Hopefully no one snagged it yet. That's kind of the way it goes, but hopefully I'll get a response back on that. And if it is, then we'll just break from what we're doing and run and go get those things, which I ain't gonna tell you what they are, because unless I know we're gonna get them, it ain't no use. But yeah, I'll keep a running tally probably for when I do the final reveal on the YouTube studio. I'll go through each part of it and put in the cost, because that was a fun video to do and I had fun doing it.
Well, and I guess the big part for us too is the challenge of how little can we do that. And we learned that a few years ago, when we were sitting at the same RV park with a $7,000 setup between the camper and the truck that we were driving at the time. Mm-hmm. We had $7,000 invested in it, and and
that's our nice fifth wheel. We got it.
Yeah, and we were in the same campground as people with multi-million-dollar setups and stuff, and we were having the same amount of fun and being able to go to the same places, just with less money.
Don't get me
involved.
wrong, we were the hillbillies of the campground. We were.
But I'm fine with that.
We were fine.
I would much rather show up to a place knowing that everything that I just pulled in with is owned by me, and I don't have to worry about some bank guy being mad because I'm 5 minutes late on a payment and want to come get it. So it's.
And everyone that goes into the camper, the fifth wheel, that we paid $3,500 for, they're just like, what? Oh my gosh. And they absolutely, even ones that we met down there that are good friends of ours, they have quite a substantial amount invested in their rig and truck. And they were just like, man, we love, you want to switch? And we're like, well, switch, but you're keeping the payment.
Yeah. And it's just, I guess the big point for me too is it's just proof that you don't have to be a millionaire to be able to go enjoy life. Mm-hmm. If you require little, then it requires little to make and to be able to conduct that. And you can do it on a limited budget. And, image means nothing to us when it comes to that. I mean, we like having nice things, don't get me wrong. And
when it's tool.
But it's also one of those that we know we can find a deal on something, but it's going to involve work.
Right.
And a lot of people, I remember, I guess, and we talk about this quite a bit, like when I was in the Marine Corps, and I bought a new vehicle every 2 years, mainly because I could. And, the amount of money I spent on payments, and I don't have any of those vehicles that I paid out, was paying on then now. I think there was only one truck that I kept, and I was probably 6 months from having it paid off when I traded it in, and got another
vehicle.
Wouldn't
have happened on my watch, not for sure.
But it's that whole keeping up with a Benjamin's mentality that we don't possess.
No.
That it means so little to us. I mean, it's cool to, we're more about, hey, we got this and it's super cool, but we got a heck of a deal on it.
Yeah. And we understand that not everybody has a sawmill. And so I guess through the YouTube studio cabin build, if we're able to do this for very little money there will be some money spent, so don't get me wrong, there's not going to be, or there will be. But the size of the YouTube studio is 12 by 24. And we're going to have it looking phenomenal, y'all. Just wait and see. But how much would a 12 by 24 building cost. Even if you went to those little shed to house places and we looked, because we thought maybe we'd go that route. A 12 by 24, what, $13,000 for the shed, for the actual, just the beginning stage of your build. So I want to be able to show, yes, we did invest in the sawmill. And I know I've said it before, we had a pool of money that we had worked our butts off our whole lives to accumulate and save for and have. And we didn't want to just spend it willy-nilly. We sat down and had multiple conversations of what was going to be important, of where that bucket of, how that money was going to get split up into different buckets. And what were the things that we knew would benefit us long term. One being the tractor, one being the sawmill, good tools, and land, and a truck. Like those things right there will carry you very far in your dream to be self-sustainable.
And they're big upfront costs doing it the way that we've done it, but there's also, if this is something or a lifestyle or that you're looking at getting into, it's your time is worth money also.
Yeah.
And that's something that we do factor in, and we looked very intently at doing
the shed,
having a shed delivered, just for that simple reason of, our time is money also. And, luckily for us, this is our job. This is our livelihood here on the homestead, and, to build a sustainable lifestyle for us. And so the time it takes to mill the lumber
but it's a life
to
skill
process
we're
it.
learning.
Yeah. And so we account that in. And would it be
fun.
nice to just have a shed delivered
How many
building done?
How many logs did you get to run the mill down yesterday, baby?
Did
One.
I get to? I think I got to make one pass the whole day.
Okay, he ain't lying. Because I wanted to do it. I don't want to just be stand by, look at what he's doing. I want to learn and I want to participate. So I'm in there. I'm adjusting the logs too. Except for when somebody tightens things a little too tight. I think he does it on purpose, so I have to ask his help.
I need you to need me.
But yeah, so yesterday, all the logs that we milled.
Teach myself right out of all my jobs.
I was able to run the mill, and he pretty much let me kind of decide, okay, how are we gonna mill this? Because every log is different. Mm-hmm. Every log gets turned a different way. We can take more off of this side than that side. So he pretty much just let me do that. And then, I was working on raising and lowering it for the actual size of the board we were cutting. And, of course, I would ask him to double check me and stuff like that. But I kind of took over the mill yesterday.
Well, and it's nice. I mean, we're, neither one of us are professional sawyers. No. And, so we're learning it together, which I think is the best part of it all. The lumber's amazing to have afterwards, but the learning process. And, quite honestly, I don't mind her being able to run it, because if something was to happen, where I threw my back out or I got hurt or whatever, then she has the ability to
do it,
to do everything that needs to be done around here. And I love that fact. Like, I'm not intimidated because my wife can do things, albeit most of the time, y'all, when she does it, it's much gooder than me. But I'm not mad at it, because, like the logs, the perfect example is looking at the log. She's already picturing in her brain, like, what boards. And I want to say, yeah, I understand. I can't, like, you see in the movies where they'll pop up a screen where the guy's calculating everything in his head and he's watching this picture build it. That's not me. I'm the guy in the corner chewing on a crayon going, what am I supposed to do with this thing? Like,
I definitely had a lot less waste. Would you not agree?
Yes. I mean, we did pick some better logs this time, but it helps. And that's the whole idea, or the point behind it is, we constantly are doing these projects that we realize that we complement one another so well in those aspects. And I know when it's a good time to, hey, let her run and do everything that she wants to do, because one, I want her to prove to herself, for not a whole lot, but there was a lot of things that would happen when we first got together and would work on projects, and she would just automatically be like, well, nope, I can't do that. And I'm like, no, what? No, yeah, you. And I would just, hey.
But there was a lot of things that I could.
But you would still do that, whatever project it was, like, well, I don't think I can lift that. Yes, you can lift that. And, there was some time that there was things that you couldn't lift, but then, for the most part, it's, she can do everything that I can do.
Well, I had to, because I was single almost 10 years.
Right.
So, I had that whole I am woman, hear me roar. And, it's so much nicer having a spouse that can partner with you. And I know we've talked about that before, but, and he brought up a really good point, because, not to like bring up the past or anything, but it's so nice to be with someone who's not intimidated by your skills, that technically aren't, women, but my daddy raised me as I was the best son he never had. And so he is, and he's always real gracious about that. He never, if there's something that I have experience in, he just lets me go to town, and vice versa. When it came to like butchering chickens, he's like, oh, that's her thing. She's a butcher, she worked in a butcher shop, just let her do her thing. Where in the past, I might have, been made to feel less than, or not validated, or just, you sit over there and make your muffins and don't interrupt me with me and things. And so it's so great to have our partnership. And looking back, I think that even just that word, partnership, that was something that we grounded ourselves on very early on.
Oh, from the beginning.
I don't even think that we had met in person yet when we'd had those discussions about partnership. And I think that that's been that underlying cohesive matter that has held us into such a wonderful place working together, because very much we both wanted that partnership.
Yeah, and I embrace it, y'all. I like I said, like she said, I'm not intimidated in the fact, like, when it comes to processing the animals, it was one task. Like, I'm fine with the first half of the process, but then when it comes down to the actual like dissecting and what goes where, I'm horrible. And I'll be the first to admit I am horrible about it.
I gotta tell you, so early on, I don't even know how early on it was, but we'd gone fishing, and me kind of wanting, to give him that space of teaching. He's like showing me how to, cut up a fish, fillet a fish, and do all this stuff. And he's like, here, you do. I'm like, no, it's fine, baby. You go ahead. I'm having fun just watching. And he's like, no, you can do this. Well, of course I could. So he gave me the knife. And he just sat there and stared at me like, what? Are you kidding me? As I just went, remember that?
Yeah, I remember. Because y'all, what she doesn't tell you is that we had been fishing at least a dozen times before that. And she outfished me every dang time. And it got to the point where, which I appreciated, right? That she would bait her own hook and, was doing all that. We only had the one fish basket, so it made it difficult to fish. We were in the kayaks. Yeah. We would be in two different spots. And I'd have to constantly paddle over to her. So, and finally I was just like, I'm just going to stay next to you because I don't have a chance to fish. And, and I remember fishing like with my kids it was like, I never got to fish because you're baiting everybody's hook. You're tossing their line for them. You're taking the fish off. Well, that was the one thing when we first started fishing together was she was,
I was adamant on my bait.
She did. Well, always baited her own hook, but then wouldn't take the fish off. And I'm like...
That's one thing as a child, I couldn't do.
Yeah, and I was like, no, this is not how this works. Like,
So he bought me a glove.
I bought her them rubber fishing gloves that she can
And then it's
not
game
worry
over
about
on and
getting.
having trouble after.
Yeah.
It's just that, I don't know, it's
But
a tactile thing.
She had watched me probably at least a dozen times take twice as long as it should have, probably, you know, filleting a basket full of fish out, and then she comes over and I'm like, we're done in a third of the time. You mean to tell me you've watched me struggle? Which, I mean, I'm fairly good at it, so I thought.
He's very
and then
good.
She
He's
grabs
very
a
good.
knife and was like, no, watch this. But it's one of those, like, I appreciate the fact that we can get together and do that, because there's so many people out there, you know, couples in relationships that it isn't, you know, and a lot of times, you know, and guys, I'm going to pick on you for a little bit, but, you know, they're too proud for their own good, and, you know, they got to feel masculine somehow, and they feel it's less masculine to, you know, accept a woman being able to do the same task probably better than you. And in the meantime, you know, you're taking twice as long or doing half a good as job, you know. And we did it the first time we processed deer together. Is I had been processing my own deer for years, and you know, had got fairly efficient. I mean, if she would have seen me the first couple of deer, I think she would have thrown me out. But, you know, we got up there and I had dissected. We had 2 deer. And we were.
He got one and I got one.
We were cutting it up, and I was just getting done with the first one, and she's already halfway through her third. And I'm like, well, okay, now I know my place. Like, I'm gonna quarter it up, throw it on the table, and then wait for us to bag it up. Like, it's.
I mean, but I guess in your defense, because he does do a phenomenal job, and he's very capable of it. Yeah, he is. Maybe not on making roasts, but when I was a single mom and I had my 3, my niece and nephew and my adopted son, and working 3 and 4 jobs on my way through nursing school, I had an amazing job opportunity where I worked alongside a butcher, me and John, and it was just him and I. We did the whole little small town butcher shop, and so it worked with my schedule, with clinicals, with everything, and I had the opportunity to learn those things on a very regular basis. And so, and that's just kind of, I didn't see it as beneath me. I didn't see being a butcher assistant as a negative. It's like, hey, this is a life skill. I can't say I've ever had a job that I disliked, because there's something to learn from every job you're doing. And those skills that I learned while working at the butcher shop have only furthered our ability to do what we do. Oh yeah. And so he's very, very competent, very much so, in all the butchering skills. And so we do make a great team, and there it goes back to partnership. Oh, but I guess because we get off on these little tangents, they just, No,
not us. We are straight line focused, so always talking about.
Yeah, coming back around to what Lee at Watchtower Pharmacy had mentioned was, yes, I want to show that, yes, we did buy the sawmill. We paid out of pocket for the sawmill. But I think, and I'm going to challenge myself, I think that we're going to be able to build a 12 by 24 cabin that's going to look amazing for less than what we paid for the sawmill. Way far less. Maya's here.
Wow, good morning. Come on. Come on, baby dog. Oh, the baby dog. Yes.
Sorry for the interruption, folks, but our grand puppy just come down. She gets so excited. You're shaking the camera. You're going to make them all dizzy.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, yes, that is what we're going to work on today, is the YouTube studio. But that's my challenge. We're going to keep track and follow along over on the main channel, because that will be something that we are doing a lot on the main channel with this next build coming up. So we're going to call this, y'all, We've Talked Your Ears Off. And I don't know, we don't pick topics, y'all. The topics pick us. So I guess
brain to mouth, words happen.
Yeah.
So
we love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening to us ramble on our days. So we appreciate you, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.
See you guys.